Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Go Patriots. I wanted to do a quick screencast this morning and do another app a day challenge that I just wrote called Confessions. So this one was really fun to do. It is essentially just a form which you can submit a confession anonymously, or you can put your name in, and then it gives you back a confession at random of somebody else who's already submitted a confession. And it doesn't let you like not submit one, so you have to actually submit a confession in order to get one. So I can say something like, I don't know, what do I want to confess? I I ate a whole large pizza once. Yeah, maybe more than once. Maybe more than once, actually. And you can leave it anonymous or you can put in your name. I'm going to put in my name for this one. And we'll submit it, and then it gives you back a confession at random. So this one says, I shot a man in Reno. And so, yeah, you can read it. Anyway, let's go through the code, and then hopefully you guys will take a chance and play with it a little bit. So just a basic migration here to create the confession table. All it has is a body and an owner. So we can go ahead and close that out. Nothing to see there. The resources in the routes are basically the same as before. There's just one extra controller action, which is the create method. And so yeah, I guess the controller will be a good place to start. So when we go to the index page, at first we are passing this instance variable of a new confession so that we can have our form here. And when we fill out the form, essentially, so we put in the information here, we actually want to do an ajax request rather than hit the controller through the URL and then re-render the page. So I wanted to actually have that kind of like one page app experience. So essentially once the form is filled out and the button is clicked for submission, it hits this JavaScript function where we are taking the form by the ID here, and we're setting a variable for form, and we're just grabbing this this field actually so that we can reset the confession back to blank after the Ajax request is made. So once we click the button here, we're preventing the default action, so we're no longer going to the new route. We're making this Ajax request as a post to the same route, and we're serializing the form data here and passing that back to the controller. So let's, at this point, we'll go back to the controller and look at what that looks like. So we're hitting this controller action here, and we're setting a couple of variables. So this all confessions. This might be good in the future to actually have like a limit on it. So we could say like limit 100. Let's say like this got for some reason stupidly popular and we had like thousands of confessions in there. Although they're not big objects, they might load slow. So I think limiting it to 100 would be enough to randomize. We could even then start like pulling from different areas in the database, but yeah, that's a future problem that would be great to have. So we're setting all confessions there. We're also getting this random index, so we're just calling rand on the all confessions length, so you can never get an index that doesn't fall within the indices of the all confessions array. And then we're also setting this at confession instance variable equal to a new confession, which we will then save. So we're just permitting the parameters down here. And if it saves and the request is an XHR request, we set shared equal to all confessions, and we pull out this, at the random index, we pull out a confession out of our all confession array, or I suppose it would be an active record collection at that point. And we set it to this instance variable of shared, and then we render our confession partial and pass it these locals of at shared body, the body of the shared confession, and at shared owner, which is the owner of the shared confession, and we return. The reason that we have a return is because we have two renders here. So Rails will throw you an error if you try to have two of those and your two renders and you're not actually returning on there. So that's good to point out because I've fought with that error before in the past. So yeah, once we have all that information and we render the partial, which is this confession, all of the partial is just a container holding the body and the owner, and that is rendered in the index down here and actually inserted by the ajax request right here. So once the ajax request is complete, takes the response and injects the HTML in, which is that partial. We hide it and then we fade it in slowly, so that gives it that kind of cool like fade in effect. And lastly, we just reset the value of the confession body in the form so that it goes back to being blank, so that the confession doesn't just stay there. Now that I'm looking at it, it would probably be good to also reset this to anonymous, which is what it defaults to. So that's something I can fix in the future. But yeah, that's the majority of the code. I guess the only other thing was adding a validation on the model itself, so that in order to save, you actually have to have a confession, so that you're not receiving a confession without actually contributing one. That being said, too, maybe putting like a null false value on a restraint on the database would have been a good idea as well, and probably best practice. So you have your validation here on the model, but it probably would also be good to have in that migration something like like null false here. But tomato tomato, it's a small app. That's just best practice. And lastly, I think that's pretty much everything. There's not too much going on in this app. It was fun to make, and hopefully people use it. It'd be cool to see some confessions come through. So yeah, please use it. Please share. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Reach out to me on Twitter, or as always, the code is available on GitHub as well. So use it, and thanks for watching, guys.